if you guys all do this, now you can always say, so how much more time would you like to spend with Take Shape Life? Obviously, the return on investment and the value for your family and you being able to be there with your kids is through the roof, right? So an easy strategy for her mentor to figure out is what does she have to earn to replace that other income so that then she can either cut back on those hours or be a choice as to whether or not she does it at all. That's what Dr. Marin did. She went from, helping a few people 2 nights a week to helping a few people when her income came up, she could take off Fridays. And now she's working 4 days a week. And then helping a few more people, then they become coaches and her income goes up, and now she can afford to take off 2 days a week. And in a little while from now, she'll be in the choice where whether she shows up at the practice at all, whether she wants to or else. She can total choice because she replace her income. Same with you. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Great job.
So the concept here is Robert Kiyosaki. Who heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad? Okay, he wrote a book, Robert Kiyosaki, called Cash Flow Quadrants. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a great book, but I even like this one better. I recommend getting it, Cash Flow Quadrants. What he teaches you is in a capitalistic society like ours, the United States, you earn in one or more of these buckets. You're either an employee and you have a job, you're self-employed, you own a job, you're a business owner where you own a system where you can hire and train people to work with you, leverage, or you're an investor and your money works for you. Now here's what's unique about this. In Take Shape for Life, when you're acquiring clients, you're right here, you're self-employed, you're starting your own coaching practice. It's fair to say that Take Shape for Life is a practice, like a chiropractor. You go to work, you help your people, you adjust them, you make them feel healthy, but if you don't go to work, what happens to your income? It's gone. So is that a business? Not by Robert Kiyosaki's definition. Robert Kiyosaki says the way you tell whether you have a practice or you're self-employed, you're an S or a B, is if you go away for 2 months and your income slows down or stops, you have an S. Now in Take Shape for Life, we start off as an S. We're self-employed. We're starting a health coaching practice. If you don't support your clients, where do they go? They go away. But when those clients become health coaches and they plug into the system, and then they start doing the system with or without you, that creates leverage. So just write this word down, leverage. On the left side of this equation, there's very little leverage. On this side of the equation, there's lots of leverage. So what is a lever? What does leverage mean? What does leverage mean?
Room for growth.
Power. You get more power. Like, if you take a lever and you put it on something, I can move a big boulder that I could never lift by myself if I had a real strong stick and I put a fulcrum in there and I can move that boulder. Does that make sense? Yeah. So leverage gives massive results with less effort. Okay, that's what leverage does. So that question, I want to give you a bulletproof strategy of how to reach whatever goal you want to have and Take Shape for Life. And there's only a few steps, but they're critical that you start with number 1, taking responsibility. You are the CEO of your life. And if you're not ready to take that responsibility, then no matter what system or what support you have, it's really irrelevant. Step 2 is identify your why and your 1 to 2 year goals. Paint a picture of what you want to create. Make sure it's important enough for you to get out of bed and do the work. Because sometimes you feel like doing the work and sometimes you don't. But if you're a pro, you do it what? Anyway. You do it anyway. The show must go on. You don't feel good, guess what? There's people waiting for you. You show up because you're a pro. Number 3, create a 90-day structural tension chart. Once you have a vision board and you know what your goals are 1 to 2 years out, that's great. But then you got to break it down into a strategic action plan, which we call a structural tension chart. We're not having time for that today, but this is crucial. Your business leader will help you do this. And there's a workshop that Dr. Rita does to teach you about it. KPIs, take daily. How many of you think it's more important to work out 30 minutes, better to work out 30 minutes or 40 minutes a day, 5 days a week, than 5 hours on one day? Right? Same with your business. It's better for you to do what she's doing 2.5 hours a day, 5 days a week, than 8 hours on Saturday. So you have to have daily KPIs, because if you're doing something daily, it develops a what? Habit. And when you develop a habit is more likely to be sustainable. And in this business, the KPIs are the daily actions that produce the most return on investment. And then the final step, and this is an important one, don't forget this one. You want to track and review your results with your mentor, your business coach. Now, at least monthly, but you can do it every other week or every weekly if you're brand new. So it just depends. So this is what that looks like. You have a structural tension chart. You want to go from senior coach or ED to the next level. In this case, this is from training guide number 2, and this is this sample structural tension chart from a ED to a fully integrated business coach, where you've built a team of at least 5 business coaches, or 5 senior coaches or above, and the action steps you need. So as you have your current reality, and you have your goal, and you have your why, what it means to you, you have these actions you have to take, and you have a date to get them done. These dates go right in here. And as you take these actions, you move closer and closer towards your goal. And every time you take an action, there's a what? There's a result. You look at that result, you evaluate it with your what? Your mentor. They give you some adjustments, they give you some tweaking, help you get better. So every time you get better, and then you go back into action mode, and you repeat this. So this is the guaranteed formula for success in this business. How many of you agree with that? You can't fail. So the 80-20 rule is something that maybe you've heard about before. Yes or no? 80-20 rule? Here's a great way to put it. Is 20%, so out of the 10 people you meet, 20 will be ripe and ready, like a red apple. They are just looking for someone like you to come in their life and offer this. About 60% are not ready yet. Okay, these are the ones that are green apples, and you don't want to pull a green apple off the branch, because what happens? You break the branch, number 1, no more apples coming from that branch. Number 2, if you bite into it, how's it taste? Sour. You spit it out. If you take the seeds out of a green apple and you plant those seeds, will they grow? They're not mature. So what do you do with the green apple? When you meet somebody who's not ready yet, what do? You stay connected. You send them sunshine. You send them love. You fertilize the ground. You add value. You be patient, and you go look for more red apples while they're ripening on the vine, and you come back and you check every once in a while. Does that make sense? Yes. Well, the final group is the people that are what we call a rotten apple. Now, how many of you ever met one of them? So not only are they not ready, they're never going to be ready. And if they had their way, they would pull you out of your vision. They would try to talk you out of your dreams. So what I say about the people that are, one rotten apple can spoil the whole bunch. So what do you do with a rotten apple? You just love them from a distance. You make sure they don't get into your good red apples and your green apples. You don't want them to get those little worms crawling around everywhere. So the 80-20 rule shows up everywhere in this business. And what it means is 2 out of 10 is the ratio, or 1 out of 5. Now, there's a thing we have called the 5-in-1 in business. We have the 5-in-1 in program, right? We also have the 5-in-1 in business. And that says if you share the program with 5 client candidates, 1 should lead to a new health coach. And if you've got 5 clients that are on the program and you're supporting them and coaching them, you should have what? If you share the business with them, you should have 1 that wants to become a health coach. And this is if you're doing the business the way you taught, if you're following the system. If you're not following the systems, you may not have those good results. Now, you may not be right out of the gate. If you're brand new, you may need to develop some skills to be able to get 1 out of 5 or so. But you know what? As you get better, when you go pro, how many of you, if you had 10 people in a healthy happy hour, how many of you have had at least half of them sign up before? Yeah. So as you get better at not only qualifying and identifying, as you get better at presenting, you can have these ratios go from 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 3. But what we want to start with as a baseline is that we know if you're using Dr. A's system, you should at least be getting 1 out of 5. If you're not getting 1 out of 5, we need to work on your skill sets. Does that make sense? Okay, that's a minimum threshold you should shoot for, and then get up from there, go pro from there. So the stats in CSFL, these are very predictable. For 13 years, they've changed by like a fraction of a percent. The average health coach does $1,000 a month. The average senior coach does $1,700 a month. The average ED does $18,000 a month. What that means is when you know that, if you say, I want to grow my business from $75,000 to $150,000, we can tell you how many coaches, how many seniors, how many EDs you need to add. So you can work backwards. And you can set the goals. And then you can look at the team you have and say, okay, from the people I have on my team, who wants ED? And if there's not enough people on my team that want ED, what do you have to do if you're the CEO? You've got to find more people that want what you want. So the key performance, let's talk about these KPIs, key performance indicators. What that means is, it's the thing that's going to make the biggest difference in moving your business forward. Okay? If you're a FIHC, you're a fully integrated health coach, and you want to be, then there's certain criteria. You have to be a fully integrated client, you got to be certified, you got to be on Slim, you have to have at least $6,000 in frontline volume, and the KPIs, the activities that are fundamental to driving that are how many client invites did you do, how many health coach presentations. So if you invite somebody to a healthy happy hour, you're not presenting in the invitation, right? If you share your story with somebody in the line of Starbucks and you say, hey, let's get together tomorrow for lunch, you're not presenting then, you're just inviting. So inviting means offering to schedule an appointment of some sort, a 3-way call with your mentor, a healthy happy hour, a group meeting like this. It doesn't matter what. The presentation is going to happen afterwards. Does that make sense? So step 1 is how many people did you invite? Step 2 is how many people showed up and went through the presentation, the 3-way, the what have you, the Zoom meeting. From that, those 2 key actions leads to a key result called what? A new client. So those are your KPIs. You have to track monthly. How many client invites did I do? How many client presentations did I do? And how many new clients did I enroll? This will give you everything you and your coach need to identify whether it's actions that you need to increase, or skills you need to increase, or both. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, now we have a system. You learn how to tell your story. You use the client interview brochure. You ask the client some questions. You explain the program, and you offer them to get started. Same thing with fully integrated business coach. But here now, you're not just coaching clients and acquiring clients. Now you're acquiring health coaches, and you're going to do the same thing. How many health coach invites did you do? How many health coach candidate invites did you make this week? If you only make 1 invite a week, then you could probably expect at best maybe 1 health coach a month. Does that make sense? But in reality, you're probably going to need more than that if you want to build your team. A great rule of thumb is the 5 and 1. If you can offer the business to 5 people per week, by the end of the month, you should at least have 1 health coach. Okay? So 5 and 1 works at every level of this business. Offer the business to 5 qualified health coach candidates, and guess what? You'll probably have 1 or 2 new health coaches per month. And then we have a tool for that. So you have the brochure, you walk them through, you interview them, you ask them the questions. Dan Bell is going to teach this tomorrow on how to do this, so I'm not going to spend time, but now we have a tool to have somebody go from interested to excited and ready, and then off to the races. All right, strategies for managing your calendar. There's a thing called block time and prime time. Prime time is really simple. It's the best time you have the best chance of reaching a client. So there's certain times of the day where you're not going to reach people because they're busy, right? And there's certain times in your day that are good. My best times for reaching clients are lunch hours and then early afternoons before dinner time, like 6 to 7-ish in that range. Block time is when you put specific activities in your calendar so that you don't forget how important it is. So she's got a block of 2 to 3 hours a night that she's working in Paycheck Life. And that's why I suspect that her business is growing so well so fast, because she has block time and she's making sure she's doing the right behaviors in those times. So did you guys get the handout? Then we're going to skip that. Windows of opportunities.